Hi, good afternoon. It's a beautiful Thursday afternoon, and we're continuing with Critical English Grade 7. For today's presentation or topic or discussion, we're going to be looking at literary devices, also known as poetic devices. And if you were here with us the last class, we started talking a little bit about them when we spoke about similes and metaphors and so forth being used in persuasive language, for example, advertisements and so forth. So we're going to ask Alicia what she remembers from last class concerning either metaphor or simile. Can you remember us talking about those?
Yes.
Good. What do you remember about any one of them?
I remember that when we're using metaphors that you don't use as and you don't use like.
But when you're using similes, you use as or like. Very good. So they're basically both comparisons. You're comparing two things, but when you're comparing it using a simile, you're using like or as. And when you're comparing two things as a metaphor, you don't make use of as or like, but you simply say one thing is another thing. Like your head is a balloon, or your head is as big as a balloon would be a simile, where your head is a balloon would be a metaphor. Good. So that's a little review of what we did. And so let's go into some others here. We're not going to talk about all of these today, but if you look at the screen, you should be able to see a few more other devices. Are you seeing them on the pink and white part of the screen, Alicia?
Yes.
All right, so which are some that you recognize?
The simile.
So we have simile already, we got that. Metaphor, what are some of the others mentioned there?
Alliteration.
Good, alliteration, you know that one?
No.
Okay, which other one do you see there?
Personification.
Personification, very good.
Onomatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia, Pun, very good. Irony. And the other one there that you didn't mention is allusion. So we're not going to talk about all of those today because, we don't have enough time to talk about them all. But since we already know about simile and metaphor, we will also be talking about the alliteration as well. So let's go into some of the examples that I have here. So, what's the title of this page here that you're seeing?
Crazy cones.
Good. So, without looking at the rest of the screen, just look at that part, crazy cones. Just tell me something about it. What do you notice about it?
It's mixed with different types of flavors, the ice cream.
Okay, so the ice cream, you got different flavors there. Very good. And what about the name that you see there, crazy cones? When you look at it, what's the first thing that jumps out to you? Not the picture, the word, the two words, crazy cones, the title.
That there is a bunch of cones that are crushed.
A lot of cones crushed. All right. So I'm going to come back to this. We're going to go about it in a roundabout way. So look at some of the examples of some cones at the bottom there. The first one, what's the first one on the list there? Chocolate, chewy cheese. I'm not sure if you ever had that flavor, but I don't think I would like to try my chocolate with cheese. That doesn't sound too nice. But when you look at the words placed next to each other, what do you notice about them? We have crazy cones and then we have chocolate chewy cheese. They all start with what? Look at it carefully. They all start with what letter?
A C.
They all start with C. Excellent. Look at the second example now. What's the second example there?
Salty strawberry.
Salty strawberry. What do you notice about this group of words?
They all start with S.
With an S. Very good. Then we have, what's the third one? Minty. Mint meringue. They all start with an M. Then we have crunchy caramel cabbage. Is it the flavor you want to try?
No.
No? What about tangy tiger truffle? So those are all different, made up obviously, cone flavors or ice cream flavors. And what do you notice about each of them, each of the names?
They have all of like they both have the same letter.
Good. All the names start with the same letter. So if the first word is a C word, then all the others are C words. And if the first word is an M word, all the other words are M's as well. But what is the effect of this on you? As you're reading it or as you're calling it out, what does it sound like? You have crazy cones, chocolate chewy cheese. Does it sound nice? Doesn't sound nice? I think it sounds nice. Then you have salty the flavors don't sound too nice, right? But think about the sounds the words are making when you say it. Does it sound like it's flowing? It's flowing, right? So crunchy caramel cabbage, the C, the C, the C. Good. So do you remember what device this is? We spoke about it last class as well.
Right.
It is rhyme in a sense. Actually, no, it's not rhymes. It's a I want to say a type of rhyme, but let's call it something else. The whole words themselves don't rhyme, right? So they're not all the words don't rhyme. Mat, fat, cat, sat, those are all rhymes because they sound the same. These words don't sound the same, but they start with the same sound. So it's different from rhyme. It's called, let's go to the next page. What's it called? Alliteration. And the other example that we have there is busy bee, the B sound again. So let's go back to the page before. The first group of words that we have there begins with a C, the second S, third M, next C, T, and this one here is a B. These are all examples of what type of letters. If we look at the alphabet, they're all letters of the alphabet, but what type of letters? Call the types of letters that you know from the alphabet.
E, B.
Good. That's the entire alphabet. If we had to group them into two parts, group the alphabet into two parts, you'll have a group of what and a group of what?
Okay.
A, E, I, O, U are vowels. So the two groups we will put the alphabet in would be vowels and consonants. So the letters that we're looking at here, busy bee, crunchy, chocolate, whatever, strawberry, salty, on all those things, they all begin with what type of letter? It can be either be vowels or consonants. So which one is it? Look at this first example here, busy bee. Is it a vowel or a consonant? And all the other examples we had before, did you see any vowel there? No.
Yeah.
Did you see? Or let's go back. Which one is the vowel if you have seen a vowel? Starting with a vowel. No. So they all start with a consonant. So if you had to define alliteration for me, how would you define it? Alliteration is when?
Is when the word is when they start with a consonant.
Good. A group of words start with the same letter, and the same letter has to be a consonant. Very simple. But let's say I'm talking to you, for example, and the first letter that I spoke to you with begins with B. But none of the other letters around this, none of the other words I use starts with a B. But the last word I say to you begins with a B. Is that alliteration? No. So for alliteration to be alliteration, the words need to be next to each other. So you need to get one right after the other. So give me a word that can start with M and goes with mango. M. It begins with M. So we're making our own alliteration here.
Muffin.
Mocking mango. Good. That rhymes. That works. Yes. So we have an alliteration using M. Give me one with C. I'm going to say Karila. Give me another one to go with that. What kind of Karila? Corny Karila. Okay. You give me one now. And you give me the word and I'll give you the one that goes with it.
Apple.
Apple begins with an A, so it's a vowel, so it can't be alliteration. Want to try again?
Yeah. Wait, banana.
Banana. Bitter banana. So that works. So it has to be a consonant, and the two words or three words have to be close in proximity to each other, or they can't be too far apart, and they got to be close. So let's look at the other one on the board there. It is similes, and it sounds very similar to smile. So smile would be spelled S-M-I-L-E. Simile, S-I-M-I-L-E-S. Good. So we have some examples there. I'm not sure if you can read them because they're a bit tiny, but you got great eyes. So, can you see the first one?
Yes, sir.
What does it say?
Busy as a bee.
Busy as a bee. So we're talking about a lot of bees today, huh? Busy as a bee. So for it to be a complete simile, then you have to compare something as being busy as a bee. So maybe your best friend can't talk to you and you tell her you're always busy. You are as busy as a bee. So you're comparing your best friend to a bee. And these two things, what do they have in common? They are both
Busy.
busy. So let's go to the second one. Sparkle like diamonds. And as you're seeing in the photo, what are you seeing? A photo of what? A pair of shoes. So the red shoes sparkle like a diamond, or like diamonds, sparkle like diamonds. So we're comparing the red shoe to diamonds, and we're seeing that both of them are sparkling. Good. Let's look at the other one there. Hungry as a bear. So what can we compare to a bear in being hungry?
A person who is very.
What's that?
A person who is very hungry.
A bracer?
A person.
A person. Good. So we can say a person. So let's name this person Mark. Mark is hungry as a bear. So both Mark and the bear are both hungry. But is it a regular kind of hungry?
No.
A bear is a huge animal. So if it gets hungry, do you think it might attack something to eat? Yeah, it might get mad. And if you try to take its food from it, you might get one big slap on your face, right? And claws and blood and whatnot. Good. So Mark is as hungry as a bear. So we're comparing Mark to the bear, and they're both hungry. Let's look at the other one. Flat as a pancake. So we can say somebody's face, for example, is as flat as a pancake. So that we're comparing a person's face to a pancake, and both of them are flat. Or we can say the table is as flat as a pancake. The other one is hard as a rock. So what can be as hard as a rock? Maybe this bottle here, right?
Yes.
This bottle is as hard as a rock. So we're comparing the bottle with the rock, and we're saying that both of them are hard. Good. So the underlined words that we have there are as and like. So if I say in this sentence here, I like bananas, is that an example of a simile?
No.
Why not?
Because as is not used is not used in the correct
sense. Very good. So for it to be a simile, you have to compare two things. So if I say I am as soft as a banana, or I am soft like a banana, then I'm comparing myself being as soft as the banana. But if I say I like bananas, it's another word for love. I love bananas, and I'm not doing any comparison there. So for it to be a proper simile, you have to compare two things using like or as. So let's go to the other one. We're looking at metaphors now, and before we go into metaphors, we just want to let's go straight to metaphors. So we have a lot of examples here again. You may not be able to see these because these are extra tiny, correct? So I'm going to read them for you. And again, I'm not giving you the definition, but we're going through them. And as we go through the examples, you're going to tell me what the definition is. Sounds fair? Good. Let's go with the first one there. Your friend George is just a big baby. So what are the two things we're comparing here? George and a baby. We're not using like or as, but we say George is a big baby. So the two things we're comparing, George and big baby. The other one, you are my guardian angel. What are the two things? Guardian angel and the person who we're talking to, right? You and the guardian angel. The second one, the third, Johnny's mouth is one huge metal factory. And as you're seeing there, he has braces on. So the braces on, meaning it's a lot of steel and metal in his mouth. So the person is saying Johnny's mouth is one huge metal factory. So we're comparing Johnny's mouth to a metal factory because both of them are filled with metals. Good. Let's look at the fourth one. His students are puppets on a string. So we're talking about the teacher, obviously, because students are there. His students are puppets on a string. So we're comparing are we comparing the teacher to the puppets, or are we comparing the students to the puppets?
The
Students, because we say his students, right, are puppets on the string. The next one, I wish you weren't always such a chicken. So we're comparing what two things? The person and chicken. Good. Have you ever heard somebody call somebody else a chicken? What does it mean when you call somebody else a chicken? It means that they're being silly, right? Or they're being stupid or something. Or why wouldn't you do this? Because you're just being a chicken. You're, being easy or something. The next one is the girl over there is one beautiful fox. So we're calling the girl a fox. And this, what we're saying about them is that both of them are beautiful. Girl being compared to the fox, they're both beautiful. Next one. The kids at that school are all brains. So we're calling who or what brains? The kids. They're just children at the school. Next one. Javir thinks he is the class clown. So we're saying that the two things that we're comparing here would be Javir, or some people say Shavir, and clown. Very good. Next one. Life is one long, scary roller coaster. So we're comparing life to a roller coaster. Have you ever been on a roller coaster? No? Have you seen movies with it though?
Yes.
Does it look fun? You might throw up too, right? Because it's going to get you in all sorts of different directions, right? So sometimes life can be like that, ups and downs. Next one. My boyfriend is my knight in shining armor. So we're comparing the boyfriend to a knight, and we're saying both of them are what does a knight do? Protect, right? And if you're playing chess, a knight protects the queen, and if you're looking at the show, the knight also has to protect the queen or the crown or whatever, right? So my boyfriend is a knight in shining armor. He is protective. Good. So what's the definition of metaphor then? Remember, I told you I'm not telling you what it is. You have to tell me what it is. So metaphor, let's backtrack a little. Earlier for similes, we said you're comparing two things using like or as. So in a metaphor, when you create a metaphor, what are you doing? You are comparing, yes, without using like or as. Instead, you're saying that this thing is the other thing. So all these examples, we're saying that this person or that person was this other thing. So when we call someone a chicken or a fox earlier or whatever, or sometimes Halloween is coming up, right? People might be dressing as different things. But even when it's not Halloween, we might say this person is a witch. But they're not dressed as a witch or anything, but why do we call them a witch?
They behave like one.
Their behavior, is it good or bad? Bad. Maybe they're treating you bad, right? So you might call somebody a witch, and they don't have to be dressed as a witch. They don't have to be a witch, but you're comparing them to a witch because of how badly they're treating you. So, have you think about your past experiences? Have you probably used metaphor before when you're talking to your friends without realizing it?
Probably.
For example, if somebody calls another person a paku, is that a metaphor? Bayu is a paku. Ever heard that before? Okay. So it's basically an ugly fish. So if you call somebody a paku, you're basically telling them that they're stupid. So you're comparing one person to that and meaning something. So a lot of times persons use metaphors or they use simile and they don't understand or they don't realize that they're using it. So it's all over. You're not only going to find it in this class here or when you go back to school. And also alliteration. A lot of songs use alliteration. So just to backtrack a little with you, Azaria, alliteration. So remember last class we were talking about Peter Piper pecked or whatever. It starts with a
P.
Good. So that example starts with a P, but other examples can start with other what, Alicia? Help us out here.
Consonant.
Consonant. So it always starts with a consonant and they come right after each other. But you can have words like A, E, I, O, U starting with those letters, but can we call those alliteration? Do you want to know what the name for that one is? Or should I give you that as homework? So it is a device, but it's not known as alliteration. It's known as something else. I'm going to give you that for homework. When you have a group of words next to each other starting with a vowel, so maybe angry apple, or give me something with E. 11 eggs. Give me something with I. Icy iguana. So those can work, and it is a device, but it is not alliteration. So homework is you're finding out what the other thing is, right? So make a note of that. We go to our next one here. So here is an example taken from a poem called Tiger Who Wore White Gloves, or What Are You by Gwendolyn Brooks. So we're seeing obviously a photo of a tiger there, and we are going to ask Azaria to read this little section that's there under the orange line. Please read. There was once a tiger.
There was once a tiger,
Terrible.
terrible and
Tough.
who said, "I don't think tigers are
Stylish.
enough. They put on only orange and stripes of
Fierce.
black. Fine and fancy fashion is what they mostly lack.
Thank you very much. So, since Azaria read, Alisa, you're going to tell us which device you're seeing here out of the three that we discussed today. Alliteration. So give me the examples.
Most of the words begins with T.
Good. So tiger, terrible, tough. So call out the other ones for me.
Tink. They.
What's the second one? What's the alliteration in the second one?
The second.
So the first example there is tiger, terrible, and tough. That's one example. Give me the second example.
They.
Look at the second line.
Tink.
Think and tigers. Think tigers. That's our second example. What's our third example? Remember, it has to be close to each other, right? So if you say they, is it matching with any other T letters in that line? No. So that's not one. Let's look at the last line there. Any letters used a lot to start words? Which one? Fancy. Fashion. And fine is close enough too, right? There's just one letter between them, so we can still use that. Fine and fancy fashion. So that's your alliteration there. Close proximity, but not too far apart. So if you have the and there, it can still work, but you're considering it a group. All right, so think we're clear on that? Let's look at the other one. A family is like a circle, and this is a much larger piece of reading. So Alicia, you will read these two, and I will read the final two stanzas on the other page. A family is like a circle. You can begin.
A family is like a circle. The connection never ends, and even if at times it breaks, in time it always mends. A family is like the stars. Somehow they're always there.
Families are those who help,
support,
and always care. Thank you. So the other part reads, a family is like a book. The ending's never clear, but through the pages of the book, their love is always near. A family is many things, with endless words that show who they are and what they do and how they teach you so you know. So which device are we seeing in these four stanzas or these 2 pages? Are you seeing alliteration anywhere there? Are we comparing any two things there? And if we are comparing, is it a simile or a metaphor?
Here's a simile.
Simile, all right, give me the example.
A family is like a circle.
Good. A family is like a circle. So we're comparing a family to a circle because it continues to say the connection never ends. A circle doesn't have a starting point, right? It's just always around. So a family is being compared to a circle because it's never ending. That's the explanation there. That's the similarity between the two. Give me the other one, Alicia.
A family is like stars.
Good. So we're comparing the family to stars. And on a dark night, what do you see in the sky? Stars. Even when it's bright and you're not seeing the stars, are they still there? Yeah, the stars are still there. You just don't see them because it's too bright for you down here. Good. So family, they're always there for you. What about over here? Are we seeing any other examples of similes?
A family is like a book.
A family is like a book. So we're comparing the family to a book. And why? The ending's never clear, but you're seeing love is always near. So, you know, if you like reading, you want to read the book until the end. So it's the same thing with the family. Like, you know, you're always more to learn about each person. And the family is many things. So that can also be one, but you have to say what are many things. All right, so this is another one, homework. And we'll ask Azaria to read this. And Alicia, you will be prepared to tell us what device is there. Go ahead, Azaria.
Homework. No one likes it. Homework is a bee sting on your tongue. It's the worst. Homework is dropping your ice cream.
Cone on the
On
wall.
the sidewalk. How
Awful.
How awful. Homework is a
Deflated.
deflated balloon. So
So depressing.
depressing. Let's do away with it. Homework.
Good. Do you agree with this person that we should do away with homework? Yes. All right, Alicia, what device are you seeing here? Literary device.
They're they're using metaphor.
Metaphor. All right, give me the example of the metaphor.
They're saying homework is a bee sting.
Good. Homework is a bee sting on your tongue. So they're comparing the homework to a bee sting. And do you think you'll enjoy having a bee sting? No. So people don't really enjoy homework. What's the other example? Homework is dropping your ice cream. So the act of dropping your ice cream is the feeling. It doesn't feel nice. Homework is a deflated balloon. Now, what is a deflated balloon?
It has no air.
Has no air. So it once had air and then the air is sucked out of it. So it's flat. It's not nice anymore. So homework is like this deflated balloon. So we didn't say homework is like a deflated balloon, because if we had said that, it would have been a simile. So let's review all the things that we learned this week. What are the three devices we focused on today? Simile, metaphor, and let's leave the last one for Alicia. Alliteration. Very good. So as a review, we're going to ask Alicia to tell us one thing that she learned about today's lesson, and Azaria one thing that you learned today. And if she talks about simile, you'll talk about another one, right? Go ahead, Alicia.
That alliterations, they always start with consonants, and the words starts with the same letter.
Letter. Very good. So the same letter is repeated, and the words are close to each other, and it's always a consonant. Very good. Go ahead, Azaria.
A metaphor doesn't have like or as in it, but it compares a person to another person or something, even though it doesn't use like or as.
Good. So it compares things. Does it always have to be a person that it's comparing? No. So I can compare this bottle with this chair, for example, right? Or this phone to the lights that you're seeing up there. So it doesn't have to be a person, but you're comparing two things. So I think you guys did brilliant, and you learned something new today, right? So give yourself a tiny round of applause, and we're going to wait for your math teacher to come on. So thank you for joining us for this live, and we are going to see you next week. We have a holiday coming up on Monday, so have a great weekend. It's an extra long weekend. So see you until Tuesday. Bye. Take care.
I could barely hear you, right? Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Critical Math, grade 6 to 7. And today we are continuing with our concept of algebra. So the last time we were looking at how we represent statements, right, using variables. And so today we are looking at unlike and like terms, adding and subtracting them. All right? So before we can add and subtract like terms, we need to understand what are like terms. All right? So what do you think are like terms? So let's look at an example. If I have A, that's one variable, and I have another A, do you think those two terms are alike? What if I have A and A squared?
No.
No? So what makes, okay, so the first set, we have A and A. The second set, in red, we have A and A squared. So what makes these two different?
One of them has the 2.
One has a 2 at the top, right?
Yeah.
Great. Now that 2 is called a power. So then what we can say is that like terms have the same variable and the same power. Right? So like terms have the same variable and the same power. All right, so here we can have A, we can write back our A and A. So those two A's are like terms. On the other hand, I can have unlike here, unlike terms. And unlike terms, let me take off this first A. What do you notice about unlike terms? In this particular instance, they have the same variable, but different powers. That's one case, right? So in some one case, you can have same variable, same. So you can have the same variable, but different powers, right? A different power. I'll put that back just now. And what about here as well? A and B. Are they the same? Are they the same? A and B is the same? A and B. A and B totally different. So in another case, you can have same variable but different powers, and then in the other hand, you can have different variables. Alright, so under here I'll put back my A and my A square. Alright? Alright, so your unlike terms, so if we for example, we have 2 bottles of water on the table, and we have 2 books, and we also have a pencil case, right? So if we treat each one of them as a different variable, so we have 2 bottles of water, 2 books, and 1 pencil case. Are they the same? Are they the same? No, they're different. So can you add those 3 different things together? No. So if I ask you to add those things, what would you do? You would put the water by itself, then you add the books by themselves, and then the 1 pencil case remaining. All right? So in case of when you have more than 1 different variables, all right, you check to see which ones are alike in that case. So let's look at a case where we're adding. So once the terms are alike, you can add them, right? Bottle of water, you can add them, you can subtract them. In the case of the books, you can add the books, you can subtract the books. Even the chairs here, I can take away a chair because all the chairs are these 4 chairs here. They're similar. I can take away 1, I can add 1 because they're all the same set of chairs. All right? So let's see here. So we have we have 4 scenarios here. Let me see if I can increase this a little bit. Oops, that's too much. All right. Now what I have here in the first instance, I have, if you can see clearly, A plus A plus A plus A. So you have to determine for yourself, are they like terms? Right? Same variable, and they have the same powers, right? What is the power there?
A.
No. A is a variable. You'll learn it later. The power is 1, right? So it's like A to the first power. The power up there is 1. So don't need to worry yourself. You'll learn that a bit. So how many A's do we have there? 4A. So 1A plus another 1A plus another A will give us 4A. So you see we can add the like terms. Right? In similar instance, we have B plus B plus B plus B. How many B's? 4 B's. Right, we can add these B's. All right, then I have here 2D plus 3D. How many D's? 2 D's added to 3 D's. How many D's in total? 5 D's. All right? 5 D's. 5 D's. So you write that as 5D. All right? Then in the fourth case here, I have C minus C plus C minus C plus C. Now, you can take it in bits, right? Let me make sure I'm copying it correctly. C minus C plus C minus C plus C. Great. So you can take it in pairs. Are they like terms? Are those C's like terms? Yes or no?
Yeah.
They're all C's. And we're adding and subtracting the C's in one line there, right? So we have a C, we're taking another C, then we're adding a C, and to that set we're taking a C, and then in the last case we're adding another C, right? So C take away C would give us what? All right. Replace the variable with a number. 2 take away 2 will give us?
Nothing.
Not nothing, 0, right? So C take away C will give us 0 plus C minus C plus C. So then again we have C take away C will give us 0. So I'm writing the zeros here, right? So 0 plus 0, and then we have a C remaining. So 0 plus C will give us? Let me remove the cursor. So the zeros can go. I can take the zeros out. What do you have remaining? Just C. All right? Just C. So it's simple arithmetic, just like how you would do numbers. So if I replace the C with 2 minus 2 plus 2 minus 2 plus 2. All right? 2 take away 2 will give me? You know that for sure. 2 take away 2 will give me? 0. You know that for sure. And so I just have 2 remaining. So anytime you're having a little issue with the variable, just think of a number there. And it's going to help you to sort it out as well.
Or if they're like the same letter.
Yes.
Like they'll have the same value.
In this particular case, yes, they would take on one value at a time, right? So if you're using all of the C's, so you can just replace the C's with the same value, right? And do your little arithmetic, all right? So I can replace the C with 5, all right? You can replace it with 5. Let me take this off. Just a bit, I'll go back to that. You can replace it with 5 minus 5 plus 5 minus 5 plus 5. Because the C is taking on one value at a time. Think you follow? So you still get the same result here, right? So 5 take away 5 will give us 0. 5 take away 5 will give us 0. And so you have 5 remaining. So likewise, if we swap it back to the variable, right, you'll have C minus C. Let me write it here so that you can see it's the same thing. So these two will give me 0, right? These two will give me 0, and hence I just have C remaining. Same concept. So when letters give you a little issue, just think of numbers. That's it. All right? Cool. So let's check. So we have, so this here is 7E minus 6E. Work on that. Are they like terms?
Yes.
Yes. Great. What you have?
1E.
Right, so it's like 7 pencils, take away 6 pencils, will give you 1 pencil. So here you'll have, instead, most of you will write 1E, right? Remember I told you the last time, the 1 is understood. So instead of writing 1E, just E. All right, just E. So the coefficient for that E there is 1. So it's like in mathematics, writing 1E is like in English where you have redundancy. Where we remember in English you can say reverse back. You either go backwards or you're reversing. Because reversing signifies that you are doing that action. Right? So in math we don't say 1E. So it's like saying it's like redundancy. So we just say E once it's a single, right? Single E. All right. Here we have now 3F plus 7F minus F. So we have 3 terms here, right? So that brings out what we did last time in terms of terms as well. 3F is a term, 7F is a term, and we have F is another term. So we have 3 terms there. So how would you tackle this? Like terms?
Yes.
Great. So once you establish that they're like terms, well then it's easy to do the operations that are present. How many F's? Three F plus 7F minus F. And our final answer is you're not sure? Come on.
I got 9F.
9F. Alicia has 9F. Azaria, what about you? What happened? Why?
It's F.
Good. So it's like 3 pencils. 3 pencils plus 7 pencils. How many pencils you have?
10 pencils.
And then you're taking away 1 pencil. How many pencils? Right. Okay. Right. So it's easy, right? So 7 plus 3 gave us 10F minus that F, but it just gave us 9F. 9F. Good? Right. So if, like I said, right? So if you think the letters are going to confuse you a little bit, you can say it out loud by replacing the letter with something that you know, right? Or the variable with something that you know, right? Apples or something. Apples. All right. In the third scenario, we have G plus G plus G plus H plus H. So what is happening in this particular? How many variables? How many? Okay, let me restate the question. How many different variables do we have? Two sets of different variables. So what's the first set of variable? G, and the other variable is H. So it means H and G, they are unlike terms. Right? So it means then you can only add what? You can only add the set of G's together, and you can only add the set of H's together. That's the idea. So how many G's do we have there? 3 G's. So that will give us 3G. How many H? 2H. And we cannot add, right? So that would remain as 3G plus 2H. Get the idea?
Yes.
It would remain as 3G plus 2H. Is it getting easier?
Yeah.
Great. All right, so we have J and K. Let me write it out here. 5J, because remember, the last time we were saying that the variables can come from the English alphabet, right? So you have a wide cross section, 26 letters to be exact, plus 2K, plus 3J, plus K. So what's happening here again? We have some unlike terms there. So, and we also have like terms. So what we're going to do, so we have 5J, then we have a 2K, then we have 3J, and a K. So what would you do? They're scattered all over, right? So what would you do?
Add the 5 to the 3.
Right, so you putting like terms together. Okay, so all right, 5J, 3J, 2K plus K. So you put like with like. So reveal our final answer.
8J plus 3K.
All right, 8J plus 3K. Very well. Got the same thing, right? Wonderful. So here I'm writing, that's a 3. So it's 3M plus 2N plus 5M minus 7N. Now what is going to happen here is that, remember we looked at addition and subtraction of integers is going to pop up. Right, so check out the question here. So put like with like. So our two like terms, our first two like terms are come on, our first two like terms are 3M and 5M. Great. And then we have 2N, and then we can take that minus 7N. All right, so let's do our arithmetic here. So 3 mangoes plus 5 mangoes. How many mangoes?
8.
8 mangoes. So, 2 nuts. So you have 2 nuts and you're taking 7 nuts. How many nuts?
5.
What kind of 5?
5N.
What kind in terms of sign?
Negative.
Very well, very good. Negative 5. So you see how it comes back in algebra here, right? When you're doing operations with like terms, right? So the same concept that you did as it relates to adding and subtracting integers, the same concept is going to flow into algebra as well. All right, great. All right, let's see about this one here. 3p minus 4q plus 9p, that's a 9, minus 6q plus 1. So, p's and q's mix up now. So our first set of like terms, what do we have for our first set of like terms? 3p is going with
6.
9p, all the p's. 3p followed by 9p, great. Which is the other set?
4Q.
What kind of 4q there? It's negative, right?
Yeah.
So it's negative 4q. And that is going with any other q?
6.
What kind of 6?
6.
Minus 6q. And then we have that, we see that one remaining there, so we need to put back that one there. All right, so let's do our p's. 3 pencils plus 9 pencils. How many pencils? 12 pencils. All right, so we have what we can represent with that q. Quick. So we have minus 4, minus 6.
Negative 2q.
No. So remember we said when we were looking at integers and you have a minus followed by another minus, it means you're adding them because there's a plus sign missing in between. So it's like if you're adding 4 and 6, right? But you remember you're negative. You're negative right now and you're taking on some other negatives. So how many negatives?
10.
10. And what are we going to do with that one?
Add it?
Just put it back. Can we add it to anything?
No.
So we cannot add the 1 to the 12p, nor can we add the 1 to the minus 10q. So we have to put back the 1 because the 1 it's a number. It's a different term from the other two terms. Any question?
No.
All right. So I know we have about 2 more minutes remaining. So let's check. Just give me a second. Let's check on this here. All right. Combining like terms. Give me your answer quickly. 6x. Answer? Great. How many x's?
3.
How many x's? Quickly. 8 plus 1.
9.
9 take away 6.
3.
All right. Let's check. Are we correct? Okay. What you think your answer is going to be here? Come on. Huh?
7.
Are we seeing 7? Alicia, you're on board with 7? 7x? All right. Super. Next case.
Yeah.
9x minus 6x minus 9x. And our answer is...
24.
How did you get 24? Look carefully. 9x. See if you can put the 9x's together. What would you get when you put the 9x's together?
Add them.
18.
9x minus 9x, that gives us
18.
minus
0.
0. So when the 2x's, 9x's cancel out, what would remain?
6.
What kind of 6?
Negative.
Right, so it's minus 6x. Let's check. See, that's correct. All right, so that brings us to the end of our session today as it relates to adding, subtracting like terms. I hope you had fun today. And so I'll share with you the very side that we're looking at as it relates to simplifying or combining like terms, all right? So in our next session, we will look at a little more concept relating to algebra, because this is the beginning of algebra for you. So we're going to look at some more how we simplify some algebraic expressions later. All right? So thank you for being with us today. We'll see you next time.